If they try to do anything on the ground, then they'll really see what we can do. You mess with the wrong country. Your propaganda doesn't work anymore. And the Iranian people have shown their resolve. They'll see this through.
What is going on, everybody? Alan here. And today we've got a wild one. A Times reporter sits down with Professor Muhammad Morandi out of the University of Tehran expecting a standard interview about the Iran conflict, and within seconds he completely flips the script on her. Challenges every question, calls her out to her face, and she visibly loses control of her own interview. I'm playing the full clip first, my thoughts at the end, but before we do that, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop in the comments where you're watching from. Now let's get into it.
Iran launched attacks on Israel last night, killing 2 in Tel Aviv. Those strikes were revenge for the death of one of Iran's most senior leaders, Ali Larijani. America, meanwhile, says it has bombed missile sites in Iran that threatened the Strait of Hormuz. The internet in Iran has been down for more than 3 weeks, so it's difficult to talk to opponents of the regime inside the country. But we can now speak to someone who is supportive. Professor Muhammad Morandi is a professor of English literature at the University of Tehran, and he joins us now from Iran. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you give us the sort of perspective on what it's like there at the moment? It's often difficult for us to speak to people inside Iran.
Well, it's difficult for you to speak to people inside Iran because you're helping the United States carpet bomb the country or regime deeply involved in the murder of people. So the internet is down because for international use, you can use Iranian websites in Iran and Iranian apps. But because the United States uses it to use cameras, the Israeli regime uses people's cameras to strike targets inside the country, they're forced to do that. And I use because it belongs to a studio in Iran. You asked me to be on your show, and I came on your show. So it's because of aggression and murder and death and destruction that your governments bring about that this is the situation.
I mean, the death of Ali Larijani has been hailed by America and by Israel as a significant turning point in this conflict. What has your response been to that?
Well, all you have to do is go and see what people are doing on the streets every night. There are millions of people on the streets every night in Tehran and tens of millions across the country. They rally in support of the armed forces, in support of the Constitution, in support of the leader, in support of the state. And in fact, your government, and this is something that Western media has hid from the public, obviously, because they're Epstein class controlled. But during a major rally in Tehran on Friday, where people were on the streets, they fired missiles at the people. And a woman was killed.
Who fired missiles at people on the streets of Tehran?
The U.S.-Israeli jets that fired missiles, they fired it at the demonstrators. You didn't even know this because your media outlets won't tell you. But they fired on people. And I tweeted this. I tweeted maybe 10 different tweets. People across the world have seen it. In the West, of course, it's because you have censorship there extensively, more than the rest of the world. And you're heavily propagandized. You don't see this. But your regimes help the U.S. bomb demonstrators.
Ali Larijani was responsible for the deaths of many thousands of people inside Iran who wanted to protest legitimately against the regime. Tens of thousands of people have been killed in the last couple of months. America and Israel say it was right to target him because of those deaths.
Well, that's your regime propaganda, and of course you're pro-regime.
Well, no, I'm asking you. I'm asking you straightforward questions, and I am asking you a question which relates to the deaths of tens of thousands of protesters.
Don't be cowardly. Let me answer. Those 3,117 people who were killed, it's your responsibility and the responsibility of your regimes, because you sent terrorists and gave them weapons to slaughter hundreds of police officers and countless people on the streets in order to create armed insurrection.
What proof do you have of that? What proof do you have of that?
The proof. Mossad, in a Persian statement, said that they have people on the ground. Pompeo, in a tweet, said that Mossad is on the ground. Pompeo, in an interview on, I think, channel 13 or 15 in Israel, said the CIA is on the ground. More importantly, channel 14 in Israel, which is close to Netanyahu, said that foreign intelligence agencies brought in the weapons to kill the hundreds of police officers.
Whether or not there
But
are,
you,
whether
but,
or not
excuse me,
there are,
but your
excuse
government
me,
and your media will not say this to the people.
Whether or not
the footage is there.
Whether or not there are agents on the ground, you have no proof of anybody being armed. And further, there is significant proof that the Iranian regime was responsible for the deaths not of 3,000 people, but of tens of thousands of young people who were, in many cases, shot in the back, shot at close range. Some people were even killed inside hospitals where they had been seeking treatment. What do you say to that?
Well, you're lying, of course, and you're producing propaganda. And I think increasingly Western media is just propaganda. Tens of thousands of people. That's exactly what you and your regime have helped Israelis do in Gaza. And your drones were gathering intelligence during the whole period of the Gaza genocide. You're responsible for a Holocaust. You're partners in this Holocaust. So you need to deflect attention. You need to project on the Iranians what you actually do. But why is it, if the Iranian regime, as you love to call it, and it makes you feel better, why is it that the Iranian regime has so many millions of people supporting it on the streets every day?
Are there any people? Are there any people who oppose
your missile strike?
Are there any people who oppose the regime?
Strikes.
Are there any people who oppose the regime inside Iran?
Of course there are, but overwhelmingly people support it, and that's why you've lost this war. And that's why ultimately you're going to face the consequences, because the Strait of Hormuz is shut, and it's because of your policies and the policies of your overlords in Washington that the global economy is going to go downhill. And Iran is going to continue to hammer U.S. assets in the Persian Gulf because of this unprovoked aggression. You carry out war after war. You destroyed Iraq. You destroyed Afghanistan. You destroyed Libya. You're strangling Cuba. You've destroyed Yemen. Iran is a bridge too far. You're messing with the wrong people. You will see in the weeks ahead whether you succeed or not.
How much longer can Iran sustain the closure of the Strait of Hormuz?
Indefinitely.
Because it harms your economy too, doesn't it?
For us, it is a fight for survival. For you, it is a fight to sustain the Epstein class and ethno-supremacism in Palestine.
Why do you keep bringing up? Why do you bring up Jeffrey Epstein in this context? What's the logical leap there?
It's very clear. It's very clear what class of people are in charge in your countries. That class of people are the people who have control. They're the ones who own the media. They're the ones who control the government. They're the ones who start unprovoked wars time after time. This is not the first war that you've imposed upon this region, or Iran for that matter. And we just saw yesterday a key American anti-terrorist official resigned, saying the truth that we all knew, but you tried to hide. And that is, Iran was no threat to the United States, and that this war was carried out because of the Israeli regime and its powerful lobby. So what I'm saying is basically what he is saying. That powerful lobby is the Epstein class.
Do you ever worry that people might struggle to take you seriously with phrases, language, conspiracy theories like that?
Well, that intelligence officer basically said what I am saying. And I think that people don't really take you seriously. And as time goes on and you continue to help B-52 bombers carpet bomb Tehran and people in this neighborhood, and they're seriously dead. Take that seriously. They die. You don't care, but we do.
What's the way out here? What's the way out here, Professor? How does this end? What's the way out?
A strategic defeat to the United States under Trump.
And what does that look like?
You'll see in the weeks ahead.
Is there a deal possible? Is there a chance of talks between the two sides at this point?
No, not at all. We will fight, and we'll hold the U.S. by the throat through the Strait of Hormuz, and we'll continue to hammer them. And if they try to do anything on the ground, then they'll really see what we can do. You've messed with the wrong country. Your propaganda doesn't work anymore. And the Iranian people have shown their resolve. They'll see this through. What you've done to the Palestinian people, to the Iraqi people, to the Cuban people,
finally,
to the Venezuelan people,
we are running out of time. We are running out of time.
To the Iranian people.
Can I ask you about the new Ayatollah? There are reports here that he is dead, that he was killed in an attack that killed his father. Have you any proof that he is alive and well?
You can make all the claims that you want. After all, that's what Western media does.
No, it's a simple question. I'm just asking whether there's any proof. Not everything's a trick. I'm asking whether there's any proof that he is still alive. There are some reports he's dead. Yes, there are some reports that he's in Russia seeking treatment. Is he in the country and is he alive and well?
That's a ridiculous claim to say that he's in Russia seeking treatment, or he's dead in Iran, or he was killed already. That just shows that these are just your narratives. He's leading the country, and the U.S. empire is collapsing, and the world has turned against you, and your regime is part of the carpet bombing. You helped the carpet bombing in Tehran and across the country, and the world will not forget what you did. And the world will not forget your propagandists either.
Professor Muhammad Morandi, Professor of English Literature in the University of Tehran. Many thanks for taking the time to join us there from Tehran.
What you just watched was not a standard news interview. That was a collision, and the reporter never recovered from the first answer, because she walked in assuming she was the neutral party. Morandi rejected that immediately and put her on trial instead, and she spent the rest of that interview trying to regain control she never got back. Now let's talk about what actually matters. The Strait of Hormuz. 20% of the world's oil supply passes through that waterway every single day. If Iran closes it, and they are closing it, you are not just talking about their economy hurting. You are talking about gas prices, food prices, heating bills spiking for ordinary Americans who have nothing to do with this war. And when the reporter asked how long Iran can hold that position, his answer was one word: indefinitely, because for them this is survival, and countries fighting for survival do not negotiate the same way countries fighting for strategy do. America needs to understand that difference before this goes any further. Then he went back to 1953, and this is the part that should be in every conversation about Iran, but never is. The United States overthrew Iran's democratically elected government, installed a brutal dictator to protect oil interests, and then acted confused for the next 70 years about why Iranians have a problem with us. That is not ancient history. That is the origin of everything happening right now. Every politician who starts the clock at 1979 is lying to you by omission. And then the moment that got almost zero follow-up, a senior American anti-terrorism official just resigned and said publicly that Iran was no threat to the United States and that this war exists because of Israeli lobby pressure. That is an American insider blowing the whistle on the justification for this entire conflict. And the reporter spent 5 seconds on it and moved on, because that thread, if you pull it, unravels everything. That is the story. That is what they do not want you to connect. If this is the kind of commentary that actually gives you something, subscribe to the US Reporter, hit that like button, turn on notifications. We are not done with this. See you in the next one.